Ladies and gentlemen, we welcome you all to the next book discussion in the series Samlapa, the Discourse, presented by the Bharat Bodh Kendra Habitat Library and Research Center, India Habitat Center, on the book In Her Footsteps, Women Who Made India by Mandira Ghosh. This is one of the many initiatives taken by our Honorable Director, Professor Dr. K.G. Suresh, to create meaningful conversations around India's knowledge systems, culture, and heritage. On behalf of the India Habitat Center, we extend a very warm welcome to the author of the evening, Mandira Ghosh, who is an eminent poet and author. She has shown a keen interest in acquiring knowledge of Indian culture and traditions and has written books such as The Cosmic Dance of Shiva, Krishna in Indian Thought, Literature and Music, and others. The author of more than 25 books with the wide-ranging themes, she has been awarded a senior fellowship by the Ministry of Culture, Government of India, a recipient of the Bharat Nirman Award, and several others. She is the Treasurer and Present Secretary of the Poetry Society India and serves on its editorial board. With an early background in science, she has also used scientific terms and concepts in her literary works. We warmly welcome all our distinguished panelists who have joined us today evening. Thank you so much for being here today. Before we move to our main program, which we are sure we will an insightful discussion, I would like to introduce our panelists for the evening. Shri K. Jayakumar ji, our eminent panelist, is unable to join us in person today. However, he has been shared a video clip with us, which we will be screening shortly. We thank him very much for the same. K. Jayakumar, President of the Poetry Society of India, retired as Chief Secretary, Government of Kerala, and served as the founding Vice Chancellor of Malayalam University. He has also served as Director of the Institute of Management in Government and lives in Thiruvananthapuram. He is a poet, translator, lyricist, and artist, writing in both English and Malayalam, with several dozen books to his credit. He has held many exhibitions in India and abroad and has penned hundreds of songs in Malayalam. His translations of Rabindranath Tagore, Khalil Gibran, and Rumi are widely acclaimed. In 2021, he received Kerala Sahitya Academy Award, and in 2024, he received the Kendra Sahitya Academy Award. He has recently taken charge as President of the Travancore Devaswam Board. Dr. Amarendra Khatua writes and publishes in Hindi, English, Odia, and Spanish, with more than 30 publications to his credit. His works has been translated into all major Indian and international languages. A former diplomat, he currently resides in Delhi. Professor Radha Chakravarty is a poet, critic, and translator based in Delhi. She was Professor of Comparative Literature and Translation Studies at Dr. B.R. Ambedkar University Delhi. She has published more than 20 books. She has translated Tagore's Gora, Chokar Bali, Boyhood Days, amongst others. She has also edited Vermilion Clouds, Stories by Bengali Women, and several others. Ambassador Sangeeta Bahadur joined the Indian Forest Service in 1987. During her distinguished 35-year career, she served India in various capacities, both at home and abroad. In the United Kingdom, she served as Director of the Nehru Centre, India's flagship cultural centre, for 4 years. Her last posting was as High Commissioner to Malta, from where she retired in June 2022. She was a global finalist in 2 categories of the 2022 United Nations She Inspires Annual Awards and has been nominated again for the 2024 awards. Ambedkar Bahadur is also a published and much loved author for the heroic fantasy series Kal. Dr. Payal Nagpal is a professor in the Department of English at Janki Devi Memorial College, University of Delhi. Her expertise spans modern drama, literary theory, and Indian English poetry. She has authored several books, including the poetry collections in the Labyrinth and Memory Keepers, and contributes regularly to global literary research. As a respected academic, she serves on editorial and academic bodies and actively promotes creative writings among students and scholars. Ms. Shubhi Arya is the founder and publisher of Parchment Publications, an independent publishing house dedicated to bringing out books with soul, works that blend storytelling with culture, art, and contemporary thoughts. Under her leadership, Parchment Publication has brought out acclaimed titles such as The Temple of Shiva by Dr. Karan Singh, The Lost Woman by Sahitya Academy Awardee J.P. Das, Devadasi by Ambassador Sangeeta Bahadur, and In Her Footsteps by Mandira Ghosh, among many others. Now I would like to welcome our Director, Professor Dr. K.G. Suresh, Director, India Habitat Center. He is a veteran journalist, eminent media educator, has been the Vice Chancellor of Makhanlal Chaturvedi National University of Journalism and Communication, Bhopal, Asia's first and India's oldest and largest media university, and Director General, Indian Institute of Mass Communication, India's premier media training institution and an institution builder. He is an recipient of the prestigious Ganesh Shankar Vidyarthi Award for his outstanding contribution to journalism by Ministry of Education, Government of India. May I now request our esteemed Director, India Habitat Center, Professor Dr. K.G. Suresh, to kindly share his thoughts. Thank you, sir, for joining us today.
Thank you so much, Sangeeta. Namaskar and a very good evening to all of you. Let me begin, with an apology and a request. The apology is that, I have come straight away from Goa, after being a jury at the IFFI, because IFFI is very important for us at Habitat because we host 2 major film festivals, and this is a great place to network and bring in the best of India and the world to Habitat. So, and secondly, yes, after this I have to rush for a marriage also. It's peak marriage season. So I would request, and the request is to Ambassador Amarendra Khatua to chair the session. But I will be here for some time because I wanted to be, and I am really glad that today we are celebrating a very important book, and I congratulate Dr. Mandira Ghosh for what we had undertaken to create awareness, particularly among the younger generation, about India's rich cultural heritage, civilization, traditions. And we have been, over the past few months, organizing several programs in this regard. The whole idea is that to make our members and other, members of the intelligentsia aware about India's rich cultural traditions. One of the series that we have launched is the Samlapa series, wherein the whole idea is to have book discussions on important aspects of, Indian traditions. The first book was by Rila Hota on Odissi, aesthetics and therapeutic. The whole idea is that we all watch dance forms, but it is important to understand them as well. So what are the aesthetic elements of Odissi? What are the therapeutic elements of Odissi? So I think that many scholars, including from JNU and other places, had come and shared their thoughts on that. The second initiative, apart from the segment that I'm sure most of the members are familiar with in the library, there is a dedicated section for Indian philosophy, Indian culture, which we have created. Another important section is the Delhi Documenta in the library, where we have tried to, kind of create a space where every information about Delhi, right from the days of Indraprastha to Lutyens to the new Central Vista, we are trying to bring in under the same roof, because anybody who wants to know anything about Delhi should be able to get it. So that is the second initiative we have taken. The third is, a lot of workshops that we are doing. So one of the workshops was on Natya Shastra, understanding the various elements of Natya Shastra. A major initiative that I would be inviting all of you is beginning next month, and that is a collaboration with the Indian Council of Philosophical Research. So there will be a ICCR IHC study circle, where different aspects of Indian philosophy is going to be talked about. So the Vice Chancellor of the Central Sanskrit University, Professor Srinivas Varkhedi, is going to be the first speaker in this regard. So this is an ongoing process. And as part of this, when we met Mandira and when we got to know about her book, we thought that this is a narrative, unfortunately, has been, there, particularly in the West. I know a lot of my journalist friends who tell me that when they go abroad, some people are actually ask them that, do women in India work? Okay, I mean, that is the kind of a narrative that had been, that they are subjugated, oppressed. I'm not denying that there are elements of truth in that, in some segment. But having said that, it is also a fact that we have a rich tradition in which, women have contributed, from Gargi to Maitreyi, where, women have contributed to Indian philosophy, to metaphysics, and there have to our freedom struggle. And these also need to be told. That is very important. And I thought that, that we need to tell our younger generation and everybody that, women have contributed immensely to different fields, and that needs to be highlighted. And I'm really grateful to Mandira for having penned this very important book. And I'm sure the eminent panelists who are present here, I would have loved to hear all of them, but I am sure a recording is being done, and I would certainly listen to each one of them. And we are going to document this also. And we plan to bring out a publication at the end of the year, that these Samlapa or discussion series that we have started, we are going to compile them. Very soon, I'm happy to share with you that we have already launched an online newsletter called Sambhashan, which is already available on the website. It's a quarterly newsletter of IHC. And very soon, we will be coming out with an IHC journal also. This will be on different aspects. And of course, our core area, which is habitat-related issues, that would also be taken up. I'm sure that I'm really grateful to each one of you for coming here and spending your valuable time here and strengthening our resolve to enrich this series. I'm grateful to each one of you, and Mandira, thank you for giving us the opportunity to discuss this very important book. And I'm sure that this would be because many academicians are present here, that they would ensure that they are, it's going to be in our library for sure, but it should be there in every library, I believe, so that our children, actually come to know about it. Thank you so much. Thank you once again. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat.
Thank you very much, sir, for your inspiring words. We now look forward to an engaging and insightful book discussion. Let's begin. Our panelist, Shri K. Jayakumar, is unable to join us in person today. So he has shared a video message, and now may I request kindly our team to play the video message from Shri K. Jayakumar.
Good day to all of you. I'm Jayakumar, President of the Poetry Society, and I'm happy that Mandira Ghosh has penned a book in her footstep, Women Who Made India. It's a remarkable book. I had the opportunity to read it, where she enumerates the life and sacrifices and achievements of 55 women of Indian history and tradition, starting from Gargi and Maitreyi, people who have contributed to the philosophical tradition, spiritual tradition of the country long ago. In times of discourses on women empowerment, it's a timely reminder that India had always respected women and their accomplishments. I think the Indian tradition never discriminated between man and woman, except in later years when all these ideas got distorted. But essentially, Indian tradition welcomed and appreciated women and their contributions. Mandira has done a remarkable work tracing the history from ancient times to modern times, including poets and philosophers of the contemporary era, including Kandadas. I think, and also those women who have pioneered, they have made pioneering contributions in the Indian freedom struggle. I think she has collected the life histories and life struggles and accomplishments of women from all walks of life, spanning across centuries, and presented a cameo where we can understand the intellectual accomplishments and contribution of Indian women throughout history. I compliment Mandira Ghosh for her excellent work. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Shri Jayakumar ji, for sharing your insightful views with us. We appreciate your contribution to today's discussion. May I now request the author Mandira Ghosh, Director, India Habitat Center, Professor Dr. K.G. Suresh, and our esteemed panelists to kindly come on the dais for today's discussion. I now request the author, Ms. Mandira Ghosh, and Dr. Amarendra Khatua ji to take forward the book discussion. Thank you.
India, as you know, has 1450 million people, 550 million middle class, 550 million poor, 350 million public sector, government employees and rich. Out of them, 48.2% are women. Therefore, when we generalize on women's condition, as Dr. Suresh has spoken, yes, certain anomalies, inequalities are there. But they are the biggest, most powerful, most inspiring constituency of modern India. Mandira spoke in her footsteps, where she says, who made India? They made India in 3-4 ways. They fought shoulder to shoulder with freedom fighters. Gandhi without Kasturba, you can't imagine. Like philosophically, intellectually, they have contributed as much as men. There is a small bhakti poem. Her footsteps brings worlds together and make hearts gather. And poets and mystics, the bhakti movement, the Sufi, each place, whether it is Lal Ded, any name you say, there are lots of examples. The 55 women she has kept in her book, 39 freedom fighters, 10 poets and mystics, 6 philosophical and intellectual luminaries. I believe that this book will be very useful for Indian youth and universities and educational institutions. Post-COVID, publication activity has gone down by 23%. Reading estimated about 32%. And in fact, whenever you watch television or media, it is more Netflix than the original things. Adoption of the books and stories have also gone down. In this context, knowing about the women who led us is a good concept. I congratulate Mandira. And the articles are brief, precise, and introductory. As I have told her before, this book needs to be translated in different languages so that it can reach to the audience in schools and various institutes. Let's start today's session, and let me invite Mandira to speak about the book, what inspired her, how she created it. And as there is not much time, we'll limit the talks.
Good evening, friends. Am I audible? Thank you, Professor Dr. K.G. Suresh, Director of India Habitat Center, Geeta Balasubramaniam, Head Habitat Library and Resource Center, for giving me this honor, support, and opportunity to speak on women who made India from my own perspective, but that is universal also, in this discourse series of Bharat Bodh Kendra in Samlapa. I must thank Sangeeta Gupta also. I also thank Sri K. Jayakumar, Dr. Amarendra Khatua, Professor Radha Chakravarty, Ambassador Sangeeta Bahadur, Dr. Payal Nagpal, and the young publisher of the book Shubhi Arya for making this day happen, for which I was waiting for quite some time. I thank India Habitat Center once again. A visit to Indore quite 7-8 years ago to Indore. From Indore, we had plans of going to Ujjain. So we got down in the Indore airport, and I was astonished to see, because I went from Indira Gandhi Airport to Ahilyabai Airport. 2 airports named after women, and there is, I think, one in Odisha also, private airport. Apart from that, there is hardly mention of any women in Indian airports or this thing. When I realized that Ahilyabai Holkar contribution from the Malwa dynasty to entire country, I started doing extensive research on her. My parents, late Sushil Ranjan Dharchaudhary and Namita Dharchaudhary, had a good collection of books on philosophy primarily. Thus, I came to know about Maitreyi and Gargi, where Maitreyi asked the most significant question in Brihadakarana Upanishad to her husband Jagnabhalka: what shall I do with that which does not make me immortal? Wealth was equally divided between Katyayani and Maitreyi. Maitreyi refused to take material wealth, and she seeks for Brahma or Atmagan. This episode is very briefly mentioned, but in the next issue, if Subi permits, I will write on elaborately. Khana, every Bengali girl have heard of. Poets are dear to me. In fact, all women poets are courageous. Even the present poems are poets, many of them are my friends. They are indeed courageous. My paper in the Ministry of Culture, Government of India, was on impact of famine on Bengali literature. I did extensive research at that time, and also during writing Mahatma Gandhi, that also Shubhi's father published. Mahatma Gandhi Tryst with Satyagraha, I read a lot about Indian history, and also I came to know about Matangini Hajra, affectionately called Gandhi Budi, 75-year-old girl, stand tall with national flag, even while her body was laid on earth. 21-year-old Prithilata Vadekar made the supreme sacrifice for the nation. In the Paharitala European Club, many of us are aware of it, in Chittagong. Chittagong is Chattogram earlier, now it is Chittagong. Over there, Surya Sen and his comrades, they are called comrades, or the friends. They, in fear of getting caught, Prithilata Vadekar took potassium cyanide and died, and she could not be caught. So even Kalpana Joshi, 7 days before that, she left the place. There are several very courageous women in the book. Bhikaji Kama, on August 22, 1907, raised the Indian flag at Stuttgart, Germany, challenging the British rule. The book talks about the Heraka movement of the Nagas using guerrilla warfare, Santhal rebellion primarily in the Chota Nagpur area. In her footsteps, is a tribute to the indomitable spirit and contribution of Indian women across century. This unique volume of brief biographies exemplify the fearlessness and as well as sacrifice, wisdom, metaphysical thoughts, lyrical brilliance of the poets, starting from Lal Dev, that Amarendra has already said, Mirabai, Lal Dev, Mirabai, Pride of Mewar, Lal Dev, Jewel of Kashmir, till Kamala Das, as Jayakumar just mentioned. And so many poems are written on Jhansi ki Rani Lakshmibai. Her sentence echoes everywhere we go, in any platform. मैं मेरी झांसी नहीं दूंगी. That was her courage. She did not want to depart Jhansi. I don't want to go into the detail of this. Part 1 delves in the lives of the philosopher, 2 for more poets and mystics, and 3 solely on freedom fighters. I will Rajkumari Gupta's during karaoke controversy, I like her sentence, what she said. She was influenced by Mahatma Gandhi, yes, also Chandrasekhar Azad. So she said, हम ऊपर से तो गांधीवादी थे पर नीचे से क्रांतिकारी. That is the spirit of Indian women. Beena Das, member of Chhatri Sangha in Calcutta, on 6 February 1932, during Calcutta University convocation, tried to assassinate Bengal Governor Stanley Jackson. Then we have Santhal sisters, Fulu and Jhanu Murmu, who are with their brothers, killed, and bow, arrow and spear, killed 21 British soldiers, though 25,000 Santhal were killed, unfortunately. Towards the end, I like the mentioning of Savitribai Phule. Without her, emancipation of women could not have possible in many parts of the India, because she was a pioneer in women's education. But another aspect of her is that there was plague, and she nursed the plague, apart from advocating women's education, and died of plague. Apart from, in the next book, there are many, I think the time will be short if I don't, but I want to mention 2 persons who are not mentioned in the book. One is Hans Mehta, and another is Lakshmi Indira Panda. I always admire both. Hans Mehta in United Nations went and said, all men are equal. He corrected it to all human beings are equal. And Lakshmi Indira Panda was a spy in INA. in Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose. She was a young, frail, 14-year-old girl, picked up somehow Burmese language and worked as spy, though she was earlier a very small housekeeper in INA. And above all, I want to conclude with Rani's, 1500 Ranis of INA, Rani Jhansi Regiment, and pay my tribute to Lakshmi Sehgal, Captain Lakshmi Sehgal. I think this should be enough because there is time concern. Thank you.
Thank you, Mandira. Your book of women, homemaker to country maker, history maker to immortality, very well presented. Now let me invite Professor Radha Chakravarty.
Thank you, and I won't take long. I know time is an issue, but I want to first of all congratulate Mandira for this wonderful undertaking, as impressive as it is meaningful for all of us today, because we generally tend to trace our ancestry through our forefathers. But as Virginia Woolf in the 1920s said in her famous work, A Room of One's Own, we need to unearth hidden histories by what she calls thinking back through our foremothers. Thinking back through our foremothers. So, in other words, retelling history from a woman-centered perspective. And the very title of Mandira Ghosh's book In Her Footsteps, Women Who Made India, declares precisely this intention, tracing an alternative tradition in our political, social, and cultural history. And the title itself, as we can see, In Her Footsteps, suggests that you follow someone's trail. So it suggests a journey into the past. It suggests a quest that follows the trail of selected female luminaries to highlight the contribution of women who shaped the destiny of India. Crossing the boundaries of time and space, this book narrates the lives and achievements of a motley group of women from different walks of life. And it's a shining example, therefore, of, as I said, telling the story from women's point of view. And it's one long story that contains many stories. Each segment of the book stands on its own, but all the segments, all the narratives are part of one long flowing narrative, a fabric woven of many colored strands where the story swells like waves and flows like a river, women's contribution to our history. Part 1, as we heard from Mandira, deals with philosophers and intellectual women of ancient India. I won't spend time listing the names, but these are women who straddle the realms of history and myth. Women like Maitreyi, Gargi, and so on. They're extraordinary women. And this section highlights the vital role played by these women in the formation of the intellectual destiny of our region. And it's exhilarating and uplifting to read these narratives together and not separately as we tend to do in a patchwork kind of way. Part 2, Indian women poets and mystics, moves from the philosophical realm to the realm of the creative and the sacred. And we have again heard the names of some of the very important figures who feature here. I want to here recall some other books that come to mind, which have attempted similar histories. One is the 2-volume anthology called Women Writing in India, 600 BC to the present, which is edited by Susie Tharu and K. Lalita. And more recently, I remember the book Wild Women by Arundhati Subramaniam. Wild women, seekers, protagonists, and goddesses in sacred Indian poetry. But while these earlier volumes concentrate more on showcasing the creative output of these women, what they composed or created, Mandira adopts a historical and biographical approach to trace their formidable legacy. The women poets speak in diverse voices here. They write on different themes, and they include Mirabai, Amrita Pritam, but then we also have Toru Dutt, Sarojini Naidu, and Kamala Das. And for lack of time, I'm not reading out the little lines from each. I wanted to give you a flavor of the changing styles and approaches, but only if time permits, we'll think of it later. Part 3, Freedom Fighters, includes a long list from Chand Bibi and Rani Lakshmibai to Sarojini Naidu, Pritilata Wadekar, and so on, right down to Ashalata Sen, Kamala Nehru, Kasturba Gandhi, and so on. This section, in turn, reminds me of other works, such as Indian Women's Battle for Freedom by Kamala Devi Chattopadhyay, and Tanika Sarkar's book, Her Name Was Freedom, 35 Fearless Women Who Fought for India's Independence. So I'm locating this book within multiple existing narratives to show that it has added something new to all of these. Because while those earlier works focus mainly on women's participation in the struggle for independence, Mandira's book places the Indian women freedom fighters within a broader narrative of women's role as harbingers of change in our society. It's not only the freedom struggle, because just to take 3 or 4 quick examples, each of these women freedom fighters also contributed something to social change, to changing the fabric of our society. Kamala Dasgupta, for instance, was part of an armed revolutionary group during the freedom struggle, but she was also an activist devoted to women's empowerment and promoted vocational training for women. Godavari Parulekar raised awareness about the plight of Adivasis and did much for adult literacy, as well as for trade union movements. Jalkari Bai and Uda Devi Pasi are celebrated among the Dalit community for their participation in the fight for independence, so they fought more than one battle. Kamala Devi Chattopadhyay I've already mentioned. She was also remembered for the revival of Indian arts and handicrafts, apart from being a political and social activist. And the dauntless Asha Lata Sen underwent multiple spells of imprisonment for her role in the non-cooperation movement and the civil disobedience movement. And there are several other names in Mandira's list, which I will not go through, but to say at the end that all the feisty women we encounter in Mandira's book make their mark on our collective memory because they found forms of self-expression beyond the traditional domestic role. They came out of the role traditionally assigned to women and acted from their own convictions and their sense of moral and social responsibility. And I want to underscore the word responsibility because when we talk of women's struggle for rights and for freedom, you're talking about their rights. But rights always come with responsibility. And I think this is something which Mandira's book highlights in a very, very urgent way. The versatility of their achievement is extraordinary, and taken together, these true stories from the past can prove inspirational for us in our own time, especially for women of the new generation as we wrestle with the challenges of the world we live in today. And to conclude, as someone who is a practicing translator, I truly appreciated the remarks made earlier in the evening about the need to translate these narratives so that they reach a far wider and more diverse audience. Thank you.
Thank you, Radha. Now, let me invite Ambassador Sangeeta Bahadur, author.
Good evening, everybody. And I'm really glad to be here today for this very special book, which, frankly speaking, I haven't read. But I did go through the synopsis. I've gone through the names of all the, the wonderful women that Mandira ji has covered in this book. Some of them, of course, all of us know about, but there were many surprises for me in the list. I'd never heard of them. And I'm sort of looking forward to trying to figure out what they contributed, what exactly was their role in developing, the Indian culture, Indian society, Indian literature, whatever it might be. So I'm looking forward to that. But in the meanwhile, I just wanted to mention that normally I do not like using the word feminism too much because over the decades, unfortunately, especially in the West, it has acquired some very negative overtones, like it's associated with militant feminism, of rejection of men as a species. And, like a lot of it has gone into, in many ways, I think, breaking the traditional mores of society, which in some cases are good, in some cases are not that good. But for me, reading this book, I realized that my own definition of feminism, whenever I tend to use the word, coincides a lot with what Mandira has had to say in this book, because essentially for me, feminism means acknowledging that women are very much a part of the human society, of the human species, and to not dismiss them as outlandish or or irrelevant, or using terms like that for what they do, what they contribute to the society. Very proudly, though, I must say that the Indian culture, I feel, has been one of the very few, which has not just acknowledged the achievements of women over the centuries, over the millennia, I would say, but has also provided a generous platform for many of them to express themselves, and to acknowledge what they've done for our nation, for our culture, for our society, whatever it might be. And at the beginning of this session, Dr. Suresh mentioned that in the West he's asked very often, do Indian women work? Which is a very surprising question for me, because to tell you the truth, most of my postings have been in Europe, and in developed countries, as they're called. And I must tell you that the way Indian women have been encouraged to step up in the public life, contribute, work, do things that they really want to do to achieve goals and targets that they want to do, is really not a part of the Western ethos even today. Because even in a place like London, for example, you'll find that most women, yes, they work for a time, but mostly it is at a lower level, at the secretarial level, etc. Very few women have regular, high-profile careers. Why? Because there's no social support for them as women who also have families, right? Because for us, it becomes very, very important that, if you're working, you have the kind of support provided by your family, by the whole social structure that we have, which enables women in India to probably achieve much more than, the Western counterparts. There are exceptions everywhere, there are. But the fact is that this is, how it works out. So for me, feminism essentially indicates, you would have all heard of the famous quote from George Orwell saying all animals are equal, but some animals are more equal than others. So that is how it has become for women. I mean, you say all humans are equal, but some humans, because of their gender, are more equal than the other lot. So I feel that what she's done in this book is to bring forth the very, very valuable contributions that women have made, not just to humanity, but particularly to the Indian culture, to the Indian society, to the Indian freedom struggle, to Indian literature. I mean, you name it, they are everywhere. And way back from Maitreyi and Gargi and all these people to today. And one thing I'd like to congratulate her for is that she has not included too many practicing politicians in this, because there's enough said, enough written about them. These are the people who have been overlooked or have been forgotten in the pages of history. And that is what she's done by bringing them into the limelight through this book, through this writing. As I said that, she's done a great job on this front. And we are still working on including more women into our socio-political, economic fraternity. And we are succeeding because, even today, not many women are in high government positions in other countries. We have. Even today, and particularly, the Ministry of External Affairs is very proud that almost 35% of our officers, etc., are women. So this is our contribution to, what women can do for the country and what they continue to do, and it needs to be encouraged. And books like this, books like Mandira's, can only add to the aura of women, to make whatever they do stand out a little bit, make people take notice of them, because all said and done is still a man's world. But the fact that if there were no women, a lot of things would not happen. Just to end with, I know this is a selfish thing, but since it was mentioned, my book, Devdasi, which has recently been published by Parchment, that is based on this whole conflict between the worldview of the feminine worldview and the patriarchal worldview. And one of the things it also propagates is the fact that it is high time we acknowledged the contributions of women, gave them the platform, gave them the opportunity, and that is what Mandira has done through this book. So I hope most of you will buy it and enjoy the exploits, intellectual and literary, cultural, whatever it might be, of the women mentioned in this book. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sangeeta. I thank Dr. Suresh for facilitating organization of this empowering session. He has to go now because in her footsteps also includes marriage. All the best. And now let me invite Professor Nagpal, Payal Nagpal.
Thank you, Ambassador Khatua. I'd like to thank Mandira Ghosh, author of the book, for giving me a chance to be a part of In Her Footsteps, and to India Habitat Center for making me a part of Samlapa. Book discussions give us a chance to engage with the text and to reach out to an audience with a complex intermingling of ideas. Ideas of the writer, the reader, critic, and the listener. These ideas remain in a zone of dynamic vitality as each reading, each conversation brings with it further new conversations. Today, as we discuss In Her Footsteps by Mandira Ghosh, there is a sense of exhilaration as we look at the making of the nation from the point of view of women. Ghosh's book is a collection of brief biographies, as she calls it, prefatory notes on 55 women ranging from the ancient period to the modern. It also carries an introduction and a conclusion. This book draws attention to the way in which the nation, mostly envisaged from a hegemonic point of view, needs to be reframed from the point of view of the immense contributions made by the women. Certainly, the hegemonic perspective has been countered by subaltern studies, a foregrounding of voices from the margins. But there is a need to continually recover and engage with more such voices, especially those of women, and to do so in a cohesive manner, a task beautifully essayed by Mandira Ghosh in the book In Her Footsteps. In terms of style, I must say that this book reminded me of the style of George Bernard Shaw for the way in which he would write prefaces to his plays. They stand today as equally, if not more important, than the plays themselves. Reading the title, I'm reminded of the Marathi writer Lakshmibai Tilak's autobiography titled Smriti Chitre, or translated as I Follow After, where Tilak gathers the courage to write as she describes her complex relationship with her husband. Ghosh's In Her Footsteps develops this historical legacy to bring to us women from different time periods who don't follow but chart paths for themselves. These women have pushed the boundaries to create new systems of thought. Today, I would just like to focus briefly on the structure and her choice of the women that she has, whose biographies she has introduced us to in this book. Her selection of women writers from the ancient period brings to us the Brahmavadinis. The association of women with learning, especially of texts like the Vedas, has never been easy. Ghosh brings together Maitreyi, Gargi, Lopamudra, Vagambrini, Khona, and this section reminds us of how women entered uncharted terrains as they became part of philosophical discourses, sang hymns, they became philosophers and poets. Their work appears in the Upanishads and the Vedas. An interesting figure here is the poet Khona, and she's both poet and astrologer. And we have with us today Professor Radha Chakravarty, whose poetry collection Subliminal also carries a poem on the astrologer Khona. It is believed that her tongue was cut, which is there's a indication of a literal and metaphorical silencing. The second section brings to us the medieval and the modern poets. I won't read out the list of poets, but I must say that I'm very intrigued by this combination. And maybe if time permits, if Mandiraji could actually talk about the structuring in this book. The medieval mystics rejected patriarchy and embraced bhakti to express devotion to their idea of God. They abhorred the shackles of matrimony and submitted to this new idea of love. At the same time, they are also women who contributed to the development of language. Lalla Laldev is known as a maker of modern Kashmiri. We then have the Vachanas and the Vaks and so on. So Vaks by Laldev again, and the Vachanas by Akka Mahadevi. In the third section, women are placed under the category freedom fighters. We celebrate the valor of women like Rani Lakshmibai and Chand Baby. But this section makes a very important contribution with the inclusion of Dalit women like Jhalkari Bai, Ura Devi, Savitri Bai Phule. And Ghosh's selection of Jhalkari Bai is very important, a skilled warrior who had helped Rani Lakshmibai escape, and she also fought valiantly during the revolt of 1857. Shortage of time, so I'm just going to skip a few sections. And we also have Ura Devi, a Dalit woman who fought during the Battle of Sikandar Bagh in 1857. In the last decade, translations of Dalit writings into English and other languages have brought to the forefront the works of several Dalit writers. We are familiar with the writings of Jyotiba Phule, but equally important is the contribution of Savitri Bai Phule. The two worked towards women's education, their emancipation, and as Ghosh tells us, she started 18 schools, 2 educational trusts, and what is very striking is how they both started the infanticide prevention home for Brahmin widows and victims of rape. Another significant contribution made by Mandira Ghosh in this book is her attempt to bring women from the peripheries to the center. So we have brief notes on the Santhal sisters, Phulo and Jhanu Murmu, part of the first rebellion, that is the Hool, the 1855-56 Santhal rebellion. We also have, in this book, the Naga freedom fighter from the Rongmei Naga tribe of Manipur, that's Gaidinliu Pamai. In her footsteps brings to us freedom fighters from across the country, and most of these women are not part of mainstream narratives. She points out their revolutionary activities, but also the literary contributions made by these women. Notable among her mentions is Begum Hazrat Mahal, known for her leadership qualities and participation in the mutiny. Matangini Asra, I'm not going to talk much about it because Mandira herself has done so. And we have Kamala Das Gupta, who was part of the Jugantar party. Beena Das from Bengal. So her memoir, as Ghosh points out, Beena Das from Bengal, her memoir, as Ghosh points out, is considered to be the first political autobiography in a regional language. The book brings to us also Godavari Parulekar, a social reformer, and who documented the struggles of the Adivasis, and Mana Sahitya Academy Award also. The book reminds us of women also from undivided Bengal. So Pritilata Vadegar from Chittagong, Kalpana Dutta from Noakhali, Ashalata Sen from Noakhali, Suniti Chaudhary from Komila. Women and their contribution to the HSRA is again something that she covers in her book. The span of this book is wide, as it brings together contributions by women to diverse realms. These are women who have agency. They seize the moment to become active contributors to society. The book reminds us of the way in which their lives and histories have been glossed over. Feminist historiographies need to recover the lives and contributions of women who have shaped the nation, and these stories need to be shared in simple form to the world outside the academia so they gain momentum in narratives perpetuated in civil society. The book poses a question to its readers: where are all these women in our narratives? And I will end on that note to indicate the answer that is given by Ambassador Khatua, that this book needs to be translated for its brevity, for its simplicity, so that it can reach out to more readers.
Thank you. Now let me invite the powerhouse publisher, Shubhi. Just started, but the kind of books she's publishing, remarkable. Let her speak. Thank you. Shubhi.
Good evening, everyone. Am I audible? Okay, so our distinguished panel here has already done a deep dive into the book, so I'm not going to touch upon that. I'm going to talk about why this book, why the subject, right? So I've been hearing a lot of chatter about what else do women want, right? From having reservations in the metro to a seat at the board of directors. We've given you a space, we've given you a chair at every table, right? Now, what else do you want? Now, this is the kind of chatter that I hear, not just at events like this, but also on the internet and also on comments. And these are comments that just boil my blood, right? So I think now, what can I do as an individual? Nothing beyond using the platform that I have, which is through Parchment. I can bring out the kind of books that I truly believe in, support the kind of writers that I believe in, and the stories. And so I spoke to Mandira ji, and it was over a cup of coffee, and I was doing this rant, right, that I just did in front of you. And she very kindly agreed. She said, we're going to do this together, and we're going to talk about women who've paved the path for us to be sitting here and having a more than 50% women panel, which I'm really happy about. So just bringing out the kind of books that motivate people and which will hopefully make society better, right? So that was the idea. And I hope you guys all read it and enjoy it and maybe, get inspired, because I certainly did. I had no idea about figures like Lal Date and Akka Mahadevi. And it was a truly eye-opening experience for me as well, just editing and reading the book. So thank you everyone.
And thank you all for coming and listening to the book In Her Footsteps. I believe the figure I gave, 42% women, out of them, almost 80% work in one way or other. A housemaker is also a professional worker, that we ignore. Therefore, when we add to that philosophy, intellectual wits, freedom fighter, poet, mystic, a multifaceted role of the woman comes. That's why I said, translate the book in many languages, take it to the institutions where youth are studying and they can read the book, and the message should spread that In Her Footsteps will continue and continue to lead India. Thank you all. Any comments, observations or questions? Brief, please identify yourself. Even comments will do. Please.
You said in this book there are 55 women.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you
39 freedom fighters.
10 poets and mystics, 6 philosopher and intellectuals.
these are complete, or you have any idea how many are total? Total how many you have?
54.
64.
54. Because Sarojini Naidu is in poet section also, in the freedom fighter section also. So it makes 54.
54.
It is complete in itself. Or you need another book for...
I will need another book.
No, she will need many more books. That is what we are saying.
Okay.
That in India, you cannot limit the role of women. In Her Footsteps, the footprints are of many. She has selected 54. The book is about them.
Thank you.
I have selected of what according to me is the most courageous.
Starting point.
Good evening, respected panelists. My name is Ike Sinha. I'm extremely grateful to call on women empowerment, that I'm working on women empowerment now, and here I find Ambassador Sangeeta Bahadur.
Okay.
I stand before you with all these badges. She has been the biggest contributor. Because of her support,
Yes.
Shillong Chamber Choir, for the first time, they had not seen international aircrafts. We were there in China competing. I only requested her to bless me and give me that support while she was Deputy Director General ICCR, that the women power and their support, their blessings are so important, that we won 3 gold in the World Choir Games, which is like Olympics. India doesn't know that there is Olympics for
We
singing.
can take the sports section separately. Science. Sports in the Olympics.
It is an Olympic sport which is for singing. India doesn't know. So coming back to this book, I am extremely grateful that such a book is taking place. I am now working for Indo-Korea relations to do with Suri Ratna, the Princess of Ayodhya.
Yes.
Today is a very auspicious day of whatever has happened today with Guru Tegh Bahadur, Prime Minister going to Ayodhya, hoisting the flag. So it has got very important significance. And Suri Ratna, who bridged 2 cultures together, her importance is less known in India, and also Mata Sundari, the college which is here. Everybody is talking of all the gurus, but nobody is talking of their better half, their contribution. So I would like, from my end, I have already submitted the papers to Prime Minister Modi ji that 10 acres of land has been given in Korea, 15 acres of land has been given for Ram Temple.
Thank you, Ike. Thank you.
So Mata Sundari's contribution for women's education is so important.
Absolutely.
Should be a part of your book. In the next.
More characters. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you then. Yeah, it's okay.
He wants to ask something.
Okay.
On behalf of the India Habitat Center, we would like to sincerely thank our Honorable Director for their continuous support, guidance and throughout the program, the support he has given. We also extend our heartfelt gratitude to the author and all the panelists for a lively and engaging book discussion, and Parchment Publications who published the book. Finally, we thank the audience for their wonderful participation and thoughtful questions which enriched the experience for everyone. Thank you very much.